Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Twisted Dye Kitchen, my fiber journey. I'm in a different location in my sunroom and just wanted to get my coffee, come and talk with everyone, tell you where I've been this past month, what experiments I've been working on, what fiber journeys I've been exploring. So glad you're here. If you're a new viewer, welcome. I hope you enjoy this episode. If you're a returning viewer, thank you. I really appreciate your support and look forward to hearing some of your comments of what I've explored this month. As I mentioned, I'm from Kirkwood, Missouri. It's a beautiful, glorious spring morning. It's actually kind of on the warmer side, but go figure, it's St. Louis. Give it a few minutes and it'll change. In fact, we're supposed to be getting really cold weather this weekend. But as you can tell, I'm wearing my current, one of my sweaters. The yarn is from Sweet Skein of mine, and I enjoy the fiber. It's very light, but I love the colors of it, and I like the yoke design and how it went across on the speckle design. I have enough of this yarn and some of my bulky yarn from another designer that I'm going to make for my granddaughter so she can have something fuzzy and pretty for the fall next year. So I'm going to update you with where I am on my socks, my hand-sewn socks. We got a little nest going on. And some recent purchase for socks. And then I'm going to go ahead and give you a sweater update and a shawl update. I have one shawl that I'm really primarily working on because I want to wear it for the baseball games because it's always kind of cool in April here. And then my journaling and my stamping, how I've taken it to a different level. So I hope you stick around. Really glad you're here. I'm so glad we have this community, and I so look forward to chatting with you. So get your cuppa and let's sit down and chat for a little while. Okay, I'm ready. I have my two hand-spun socks. My first hand-spun sock is with Shetland wool, and I don't remember where my orange was from, but I bought it in Maine. I've ripped this sock out twice. I started from the cuff down and didn't like how large it was, and I kind of got bored with it just being a stockinette. And so I joined, I'm going to back up a little bit. I joined my wool mitten. She had a Spin sock along. So I went ahead and joined that because I've always wanted to hand spin some sock yarn. And I wanted to try socks with my yarn. So that's how it all started. So here is my brown Shetland that I hand spun. And then here is the socks that I took out again yesterday because when I tried them on, they were a little bit too big. And so what pattern I'm using is I'm in another spin along with Andrea Maurer and her Everyday, the DRK Everyday sock. So that's the pattern that this is from. And I really like how this is turning out. I'm going to try it on in a little while to make sure that the fit is better. The fit on the previous, before I took it out, was really large. I have very narrow feet to begin with, so that would be a challenge. And then the other challenge is with hand spun, you're not really sure what your needle should be because my yarn fluctuates from thin to from a fingering weight to a sport weight. So that allows another challenge. And I'm writing all this down in my spinning book because I want to make sure that I think about these projects before I start on them. I start a new one, and then I can investigate how and what I did to approach this new project. So this is going along. I'm liking it. I will go ahead and pull one off when I get to the heel section and do one at a time, but I am going to do them simultaneously because I don't want the second sock syndrome. So I know myself pretty well. Here's my second hand spun sock. Again, this is Andrea Mauer's sock pattern. And this is another knit along, spin along. And I really like how this has turned out. It's actually becoming a stripe, and I had no idea how this was going to turn out. I really like this. I didn't have enough when I spun because I only had 4 ounces of this fiber. So I went through my stash and got the cream color and added that. So that's going to be my heel, toe, and cuff. So I like it. I think it's pretty cool. I think I put a marker here. So I need another inch before I will split for the gusset. So that's where I am on my hand spun socks. Pretty excited. So I'm going to go ahead and leap into another area, which I bought some sock yarn from a big box store because I'm still new at sock knitting and I don't want to invest heavily into these beautiful, gorgeous sock yarns from some of our indie dyers. But I went ahead and I purchased this adorable little, isn't it cute? Almost like kind of like a psychedelic type plastic bag. So if anybody watches Skein Cocaine, oh my God, I love her. She is so super cool. She had a pair of socks made from this patent Croy sock, and it's black and cream stripe. And I thought, wouldn't that just be super cool? So I'm going to go ahead and do these when I get far enough along on my hand spuns and use this as a reward for getting my sock done. So I got 2 of these. And then I know I was bad. I like I said, I can't always spend justifiably what they, some of the indie dyers, what they want for their yarns. And I get it. I truly do. But I want to do this as a gift for my sister for her birthday. And I'm not sure how she's going to feel about hand knit socks. But I bought this at the big box store. And it's got a little sparkle in it. And it's got some very pretty colors to it. But it's not so in your face coloring. And I don't know if you can see the little sparkle, but it's very subtle. So what I was thinking about doing was getting some minis from my indie dyers to blend with these colors and use that for the heel, toe, and cuff. So I also bought some DPNs, and I'm not sure if I really want to use these, so I kept it in their original packaging, and I kept the receipt because you know how that goes. So that's my purchase, and that's my recent acquisition for sock knitting. I'm not finished with my knitting yet. Hold on. As I mentioned to you, I was knitting the rug sweater, and this is how far I have gotten on that sweater. So this is the top. And this is my, they look like fleur-de-lis to me, which is St. Louis. And so that's the pattern before the larger mosaic across the bust. I really like how this is turning out, and it's kind of a nice change from finger weight yarn, working in small circumference, and that's that sweater pattern. So I haven't really gotten far along as I had wished. I don't know if anybody watches Angela from Yarn and Yarns. I just adore her. She has, when you started with her, she had a 12 cast on in December, January. And when you have as many projects on the needles, you kind of lose track of where you are with some of your projects. And you kind of feel bad that they're languishing and not getting the attention that they need. So she uses a dice game. And the dice has different numbers. I think I want to say she has 6, 12 cubed or 12 surface dice, and she rolls them, and each number has a significance to a card with instructions on what to do. Well, what I thought is I'm just going to spend a week at a time, just focus my entire energy on a particular project. So this week I'm focusing on my socks. Last week I was focusing on my shawl, which I'll show you next. And then maybe the rug sweater, maybe my husband's sweater, which has been really languishing, but he's not going to be needing it for any time soon. So that's kind of my solution to the projects and how often I need to work on them and stay focused on them. And that way, that week, you can really get done a lot in that time period. So here's my birthday sweater that I'm working with Joyce from Ruby Mouse Cottage. She also has a podcast, and I hope you're watching her. She's adorable. I just love her. And she has a yurt that she and her husband live in, and they really like that lifestyle. So she talks about and demonstrates the lifestyle in a yurt. So here, and it's so funny, we didn't know each other's color choices, but her color for her sweater is kind of like a teal green, and mine's a forest green, which is really kind of funny. We didn't talk about it, but I've gotten pretty far in comparison to where it is. I need 400 stitches for this yoke before I split for the shoulder, and I'm over 200 and some odd stitches. So I'm pretty halfway through the yoke. So I'm excited about that. And it's just plain simple green right now. And to me, I have to work on it during the day because it's so dark and we don't have the best lighting in our living room when I'm watching TV. So I can't knit on it while I'm watching TV, which I really wish I could. So my next one is I'm going to call it the Cardinal Shawl. And it's the Hipster by Hohi. And I know I'm late to the party, but that's okay. I don't mind. So here I've gotten pretty far on this. And it's this beautiful Malbrigo red. It's a Rios. Rios? R-I-O-S, I believe. And I'm really, really enjoying this. So right now I'm going to be starting the repeat of the beautiful lace work. And this is a perfect weight, perfect color for the Cardinals, don't you think, for baseball? Now that baseball's back on, I'm very excited. So I'm moving along on this one, and I'm very happy with that. And as I mentioned in the spring, if you know and follow baseball and go to any of the games, it does get a little chilly in some of the stands, so especially at nighttime. So that's my Cardinals sweater. So I think that's all the knitting that I've really been working on that shows any type of progress. So my next one is my rug hooking, which I just dearly love. So hold on, we're going to go over to my rug hooking. Okay, here is a section of my very large 60 inches wide rug. Here's some of my yarns, some of my fiber, some of my wool that I use. This is Icelandic yarn that I'm using for my background in here. Here is some thick and thin yarn. Here is some roving. And here's a tighter detail of my background. This is the hillside of one of the areas in Iceland. And so now I'm coming to, and that's my church. So I'm coming to this area for the yellow, the fields. This is my pattern. My husband shot this, and I like to use his projects for my designs. So I take his designs a little bit further, and I think that it demonstrates how you can see things differently and what do you do with them in making a rug or making a design. So I'm not that great of a drawer, but yet on this type of scale, I can have a lot of fun with it. Here are some of the tools that I use. These are hooks that I purchased from Larry Alt. And I like his hooks because of how sharp the point is. And then the crevice where the V is, it helps grab the yarn or the wool fiber best. And when I said yarn, I really meant this is an antique hook that I bought at an antique store. I have several of these. The hook is a little different width. So I use this primarily for my roving real thin yarn. I used it for this Icelandic yarn. And you're probably saying, why did you want to use your Icelandic yarn? Well, I thought it was kind of cool to blend the Icelandic yarn into the background of this rug, because we were in Iceland, and that's, I thought, was kind of a nice blending of a product that is made from Iceland into an Icelandic scene. So I hope you enjoyed that. That's where I am now, and hopefully I'll be able to show you more in a month's time. I should be pretty much done with this section, which will be, I'm going to show you that, which will be that middle ground, more of the brown going into the copper coloring, which is kind of hard to depict in something that's flat like this. But I think I'm eventually going to have these curves that will show and demonstrate the curves of the little mountain or hillside. So I hope you enjoyed this. Hi there. So I'm going to go into a different path, take you on a different path that I've gone on. I mentioned in episode 18 my little experimentation with cutting rubber stamps. And this is my little birdie. I just love him. And I wanted to show you some of my experimentation with the watercolor sticks. They're called Scribble Sticks by Dean Wakely. And here is one of my little, isn't she cute? My little watercolor effect. And these are just on little papers that I have. Here's another loose leaf paper with lines. Here's another little guy. And then this is actually on watercolor paper. And it's a little bit heavier cardstock. I've been working a lot with experimenting this technique, and I really enjoy this. And you're thinking, well, what are you going to use it on? I have pen pals that I write letters to, and with this loose leaf little painting of my little bird, I can add this to my letterhead to add a little interest. As you know, I keep journals. I put my stamps in my journals. I'm also going to show you my leaves, but I haven't experimented and cut them out, so I'll go ahead and get that and show you that in a second. Hold on. I'm back. So I'm going to show you 3 other stamps that I've made. So here is a stamp that I made, I'm drawing a blank. It's Monstera. That's one of my plants that I have in my living room, and it's probably about 5 foot tall. It's really super cool. Here's another leaf that I made, and here's a kind of an odd shape heart with lines here. So I'm going to show you, this is how I look to see if I like how it is and how it reacts on paper. So here's my first watercolor test of the little birdie. Then there's another watercolor test of my leaf. And then my Monstera, just showing you different ways to color it, to play with it. And then there's my heart. How the watercolor, how you can change that. Yes, you can still use stamp, the pads, and I use that as well. But sometimes you just want to have something playful and just something kind of on the fun side. Now here's a sample that I made. Hopefully you can see. Yeah, there's less paint or less watercolor on that. And same thing here. So you can see all the stripes from the stamp. I love making these stamps and then seeing how they can bring life to a different stationery, envelope, journaling, anything like that. It's fun. It gives you a chance to play with your hands and your mind and explore different avenues that you haven't tried before. So this is all for my multimedia journaling, where I bring in all different kinds of mediums to incorporate and make different journals for myself. So I'm really having a lot of fun with that. And you know, if you have any questions about it or are thinking about something like that, give me a comment. Let's chat off, you know, through the comments. And if you want to get a hold of me, you can reach me on Instagram. I'm Twisted Dye Kitchen there also. So I think at this point I think that's where I'm at. So I've got one more section to talk to you about. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. So we're at the point to where I am finished with this episode. It's kind of a quick one. I haven't started anything new in my knitting world. I haven't done any spinning. I'm working on finishing up my 2 hand spun socks, and that's my goal, to get those done. Probably next month. I know I'm not as quick as everybody else, and that's okay. I try not to beat myself up too much on that. Still learning, and especially with hand spun, you're always learning when you're knitting with your hand spun. My sweater knitting is doing well, and my shawl I hope to have done when baseball officially starts next month. So I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that we're building a friendship via podcast. Some people follow me on Instagram, which is awesome. We chat back and forth on the different projects and successes and failures that we've had throughout our knitting experiences. And this just warms my heart to have a communication and a conversation and building a friendship with different people that have come with me on this fiber journey and multimedia journey. If you really like this channel and want to continue, please hit the subscribe button. Excuse me. And hit the bell if you want to know when my podcasts are up and loaded. I would really appreciate that. And tell your friends. You know, even though I don't do a lot of knitting like a lot of podcasters, I'm kind of in different areas. It might be of interest to someone to see some of my spinning or see my rug hooking, what I use when I hook, how I use some of the fibers that are meant for spinning to use in my rugs. They might enjoy my journaling. Who knows? I would just appreciate it. I value everyone here. I value your opinion, your friendship, your support. And as always, please enjoy. Until next time, bye-bye.